In this particular task, we had to deal with two different things. First was like instead of like working with a particular individual GPIO pin, we were supposed to deal with the entire GPIO pin. Like we are dealing with six different LEDs all at once. So that was done using the array. The second portion was like we had to create three modes. So first mode was called the twinkle star. Now it deals with like blinking the LED at a higher frequency, which is 5 Hz, and then mode two is starfall, which is like blinking those LEDs at lower frequency, which is 0.5 Hz. And then the third is the star rate. Now this is a bit complicated one because we have to deal with different kind of frequencies all at once, and each frequency needs to have 5 blinks. And the other thing is like we have to start with a lower frequency rate and then move to a bigger one and then back to the lower frequency. So I've already done the coding part. Let's look into it and see how it works, and I'll be talking about the hardware part at the end. So first, the class we created like same thing, like we have to declare it in order to create a header file. Then using the libraries, created a class called GPIO and here the main important part, like we were dealing with individual things, now we have to deal with the array. So GPI setup ports, what ports are we selecting? Well, it would be inside this file, but let's look into the header file first. So the port will be selected, and here you can see there's a star pin array. It tells like we are dealing with pointer because we need to know what particular index we are dealing with. We have pins 10, 11, 18, and so on. So we need to know what particular index we are dealing with because it's an array. So that's why we needed pointers for that, and then the pin mode. Okay, and then the same thing happens like you have done the setup, now you need to display it. And then there's another function which actually deals with whether converting the port A to number one and so on. Now the .cpp file, again we are using the header, we are working with CMS SIS, then and that's why we need those libraries and Arduino basically. So the first helper function, and then we have this setup. Now setup actually tells us like what port we are selecting and what particular LED we are dealing with. So here you can see like we are telling about the port with the help of this function. And then for the array, we have this for loop, and inside that again, we're checking 31 pins and which pin is being selected and return false if the pin is invalid and so on. And then after that, we set it because we need to know whether it is input or output, and then we are actually giving it back if it's an input or output. That's what we dealt with, and here then again we have set up everything, but we need to display something, so we do the display over here. Same thing, there we dealt with like whether it would be an input or output. Here we are going to tell like that particular LED pin would be high or low, so that's what the outset does. And let's move on to the main file, which actually does all the function, all the steps, like what will happen in the eventually. So here we have defined the GPIO pin using those particular libraries that we dealt with. And here we have LED numbers. So we have 6 LEDs, and the port we are dealing with is A. You could either use A or B. I am selecting A. So then the pins. Now the code the task asks us to do 8 pins GPIO. but the LED pins are the LEDs that are do I have in the task asked us to do were 6. So that's what here it is, and the rest two places are just null value, and you can just give the -1 value. So it's unused, that's what it says. And all these LED modes actually tells whether it's an output or input. So just in case of LEDs, it would always be an output. It won't be giving any input. So because it glows, so it gives an output. So all these are set to 1 because it's an output, and the value which we don't have, the LEDs where we don't have any LEDs, it's set to 0. Then after that, we are setting it all on. Just like earlier, the default value, everything is on. Because I'm going to be dealing with the twinkle mode, just setting it to be default. And then we have um, another console that I made. Select the mode 0, 1, 2. Each individually deals with everything. Individually deals with their stuff, and the loop, like whether we which particular case we are selecting, and the current is this, and if case is moved back. So that's what happens. So let's look into them individually. Now mode star race. We have twinkle stars and star fall. Let's look into twinkle star, which is pretty simple. You have to wait for 100 milliseconds and then glow back on. And in this star fall, which has a bigger delay, we have to wait 1000 milliseconds for that. That's what it does. And then mode star race. Now this is interesting because I was talking about it starts with the lower frequency. It starts with 0.5 hertz, move to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then back to 4, 3, 2, 1. That's what it is doing. And then we have changing it to the period, like whether on or off, how much millisecond it would be on or off, changing that. That's what we do, and then the pattern is randomly done. So random melody. In order to do that, a particular inbuilt function was used in this case, and setting that particular random melody to 1 because I need that particular LED to glow and glow for the particular frequency that we have already talked about. So let's look on to the circuit now. So I've already uploaded the code, but let's reset it for once. And as you can see, it's currently working with the mode 0, and let's change it. So in order to change it, we just have to go here and do this. As you can see, it keeps on blinking, turning it off, on. All of them are working at once. That's what the array part did in our code. So let's go for the second mode now. And as you can see, there is more delay in this case. Now the most important one. See. So it will take any random LED. Now this was blinking again. We will select random, and all these things, all these 6 LEDs, 5 will blink at a particular same frequency, and then it will change the frequency. Now it changed it. So 5 LEDs will blink at same frequency, and then there will be a shift. Okay, as you can see, there was a shift after 5 blinks. And each shift happens after 5 blink. Now it's again going to slow pace. So slow, high, and again slow. Now it has started the cycle again. So that's how you do it. Thanks for watching the video.